You know, we've been doing this AR-15 pistol build. I've already done 2 videos so far. You know, video number 1, we just kind of introduced the parts and what we were using in it. And I also created a build tutorial from start to finish on building an AR-15. However, we can't upload those to YouTube. So those are available on my website. They're hosted by a different video platform. So I'll put a link below for that. Then in video 2, you know, we went out, we fired it, and we had a few little issues with it as far as the placement of the handguard. Long story short, I'm gonna have to get a little bit of a shorter handguard, but we'll talk about that in a different video. But today I really wanted to talk about this awesome folding adapter right here, and I got it paired up with the SBA3 pistol brace right here that's fully adjustable. Awesome brace, guys. Highly recommend it. But what was crazy was, you know, I didn't start out this build, you know, using this folding adapter. It kind of got sent to me, you know, after the fact. I talked about it a little bit in the last video that I did, but I didn't have a chance to actually take it to the range and fire it. So that was one of my big things was, hey, is this thing actually gonna work and cycle and all that cool stuff? So that's what we're going to cover in this video. The best part about this is it's over $100 less expensive than the Law Tactical folding adapters. And I gotta say, this thing is really awesome. Folding adapters is something that I've always wanted to get into, but I was always kind of on the fence about it just because of the, you know, $250, $260 price tag of the Law Tactical. And I'm not saying that the Law Tactical isn't good. I'm just saying, you know, when you don't know what you don't know, you don't really want to shell out a bunch of money for something, you know what I mean? So this one is a really cool option. So I'm very excited to do this video for you guys today. There are a few things about it that we're going to need to talk about. We're going to go over the pros and cons, and then towards the end of the video, we're going to go over the range footage to see how it cycles, all that cool stuff. Guys, I got a quick question for you. I kind of need some advice, and I really want to get your input. So feel free to leave, you know, the answers to this question down in the comments, guys, because I would love to read these, and I really need to. You know, Tactical Toolbox, you know, we built this channel like 2 years ago, yada yada. I kind of stumbled into the Glock builds and the AR builds. That stuff wasn't planned. And, you know, back in March of this year, YouTube changed the rules. We're no longer allowed to put build tutorials and, you know, how to install part tutorials onto YouTube. And that really bothers me because I don't always want to do product reviews. I love doing product reviews, but guys, I want to give you guys more than what you've been getting these past couple of months because I had to delete all the tutorials. And I really want to give you guys something of, you know, actual value aside from a product review, because don't get me wrong, guys, like, yes, I review a bunch of products, but I'm not a product pusher per se. You know, the only types of products that I really like to promote are products that I truly believe in. You know, if the product sucks and it breaks on camera, I tell you guys about that. And I do feel like that brings you value. What are some other types of content that you would like to see on this channel? You know, I mean, we got product reviews. I'm kind of limited like on going shooting outdoors right now until like September, October, just because of the fire hazard. So I'm stuck in an indoor range and I can't do builds and I can't show you guys how to do installs. So what else would you guys like to see aside from product reviews? It doesn't even have to be gun related. It could be something that maybe you want to know how to build YouTube channels. Maybe you want something, you know, I'm trying to work on this, but you know, ever since I had to delete the build videos off of YouTube, I feel like a part of me is missing because that was my way of just, you know, trying to bring value to everybody. So let me know down in the comments, what kind of content would you like to see on YouTube aside from product reviews and comparisons and stuff like that? Because I'm still doing the builds, it's just I can't put them on YouTube. So love to hear your guys' feedback. As always, guys, I will put a link to my blog post down below. That way, if this is something you want to get into, there will be links and coupon codes for this entire build list, as well as tools and tutorials, all that cool stuff. So with all that being said, let's just dive up close, take a look at the Sylvan Arms folding stock adapter, and let's just see what we think about it. All right, guys, so here we are up close and personal with the Sylvan Arms folding adapter on the panty dropper build. So I just gotta tell you guys straight up, man, I'm just really enjoying this entire build. You know, aside from the issue, you know, with the 10.5-inch barrel and the 11-inch handguard, you know, if I was running a flash hider or anything, it wouldn't be an issue. But even here, I think it's these 2 little ports on the top. I couldn't get them pushed out quite enough to keep it from heating up this handguard. So I'm just waiting on another handguard to arrive. We'll make an update video after that. So just a quick heads up, a lot of times you guys leave comments asking me where you can get PewTuber patches or Tactical Toolbox t-shirts, I always put a link in the description where you can pick those up. I don't personally sell them because I don't have time to deal with that stuff, so I outsource it to someone else. If you just scroll down in the description, kind of, going towards the bottom, there's always a link to where you can get that stuff. So real quick, let's go over some of the tech specs about this folding adapter. It is made of a 7079 CNC billet aluminum. It's Cerakoted in matte black. This will fit all platforms. So it'll fit the 223, 556, the 308s, and the 9mm ARs. With this adapter. It only weighs 6 ounces and it adds about 2.2 inches to your length of pull. So for those of you who are wondering, that's what it's going to add to it. But I will say on a pistol, it really seems to be very beneficial. So let's get an up close look here. Here is a little button here and you just pop that off and it swings open. And the way this works is you attach this side to your receiver with a castle nut, and it comes with all the, appropriate parts that you need. And then you attach your buffer tube and end plate on this side. Then it has this little plug right here. And this little plug, this is what ensures that you can still cycle properly, because without that, you'd have a big gap between your bolt carrier group and your buffer spring and buffer. So that's really nice. I really like it paired up with this SBA3 pistol brace that I have. This is a 5-position adjustable, but I will say, in this configuration, it is amazing. One thing I was really worried about was how it was going to cycle, and we will talk about that here in a bit when we roll the range footage. I'll save that for last because right now we're just doing an uppy-closey. Now, a couple things I wanted to look at here is, let's fold it up and let's look at it right here. It doesn't sit 100%, in line with the barrel. It does have a little bit of a cant to it. This is the only folding stock adapter I've ever tried. So I don't know if others do this, but I would love for it to sit closer in the folded position because it could be a lot flatter, I think. But when you have it fully collapsed and folded, this is what you're looking at as far as a fingerprint here. So on the 10.5-inch pistol, with it folded up, let's get out the measuring tape. So it's measuring approximately 22 3/4 inches in length in the folded position. And then when it's open but fully collapsed, it's measuring just at 29 inches, and that's with this muzzle brake. This muzzle brake's a little bit long. Then extended, it's measuring right at 32 inches. So really interesting. One thing I found was very fascinating was in its closed position, it's actually longer than my 7.5-inch AR build. That's pretty interesting. I guarantee you though, you put this upper onto this lower with this folding stock, and you can just kind of get a little bit of a gist of how small it would be. I'll just put my hand right there. So yeah, it would be a really small if you had it like that. Very nice. So that's what it looks like, and that's the up close look at it. Let's jump up top. Let's talk about how it cycles and functions at the range, and then we'll talk about the pros and the cons and what I think about this overall. Back up top. So there it is, guys, in all its glory. The panty dropper build and the Sylvan Arms folding stock adapter. Just a forewarning, if you ever run a 10.5-inch barrel with an 11-inch handguard, don't use the Lantac Dragon. You will have to get a shorter handguard. Just waiting on a new handguard to come in, and we'll do a video on that. But overall, guys, I'm really enjoying this entire build. It's a blast to shoot when the handguard doesn't get hot, and it shoots flat and fast. But this Sylvan Arms folding adapter, so far I've put 200 rounds through it. I haven't put, obviously a boatload because, ammo gets expensive sometimes. I'll most definitely be putting more rounds through it, as time progresses, and I'll keep updating you guys. So let's talk about the pros and the cons. Let's talk about the cons first, and then we'll talk about the pros. With these cons, I got about 1.5 cons. And what I mean by that is there is one real con, and then there is a kind of a con. The biggest con is this hinge right here, like I showed you guys up close. It gets in the way of this charging handle because of the way I have a scope mounted. If I had a red dot on here, and the red dots are usually a lot further forward, it might not be a huge deal, but I've banged my knuckle on this hinge quite a few times. I'm definitely going to need to get a charging handle that has larger latches on it, or ambidextrous, so I can charge it from this side. Just keep in mind, this will add a little bit of length of pull when you're shooting it, and it really only affects it, you know, when it's really closed. But I actually really enjoyed it. You know, with this being a pistol, you know, I really enjoy that length of pull. I really enjoy the fact that I can actually fold this down. And when it's paired up with the SBA3 brace, it really goes into a short form factor. And if we put like the 7.5-inch upper on there, it would be really, really tiny. I mean, so far it's working really well. Con number 2, and this isn't really a con because honestly, like, it's super affordable, and you know, you can't do this with a Law Tactical either. You can't fire this while it's open. It basically uses this little plug back here, you know, so you can continue the cycling and things like that. You know, it's not really a con. Let's talk about the pros. The pro number 1 is the guys that run Sylvan Arms, really nice guys. I think they're from Georgia. Met them at Iraq Veteran 8888 shoot last year. Pro number 2 is the price. I mean, over $100 less expensive than the Law Tactical. Not that the Law Tactical isn't any good, it's just, hey, now we have a more affordable solution. Pro number 3, it pairs really well with the SBA3 5-position adjustable pistol brace. So this is considered a pistol, and they have the ATF approval and everything. Installation was really easy. I'll put a link below for Sylvan Arms. They actually have an installation video that's really easy to follow along. So that way, if this is something you want to pick up, you know, you can get it installed. Now let's talk about the cycling. You know, something I was kind of worried about, you know, when you have this little adapter right here is, you know, how's it going to cycle? You know, it's got that little plug in there. How's that going to affect things? Didn't affect anything at all. It ran just like this folding stock adapter wasn't even there. You know, it cycled 100% of the rounds I was shooting. I was using fancy brass ammo, so big shout out to those guys for sending the ammo to me. I'm a big fan. Now all I got to really do is find a handguard that's going to be compatible with this barrel and muzzle brake, get a bigger charging handle, and I think this build will be almost done. But we'll do an update video in the future. Don't forget though, you know, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, let me know what other types of content you guys want to see. You know, I feel a little bit lost now that I can't publish build videos and tutorials to install parts. So I'm really just like, man, I don't want to just do reviews. I want to do other stuff too. Let me know about that. Let me know what you think of the Sylvan Arms adapter, and let me know what you think of the panty dropper build as a whole. If you like this video, just go ahead and hit the like. And if you're not subscribed already, please do so. You know, that'd be awesome. But until next time, I love you, and you guys stay sexy.